Well, good morning. Any visitors this morning? Too early, eh? Good. Today's readings, the Old Testament, the responsorial psalm, the New Testament, and the Gospel are all about one of your favorite subjects, food. And food plays an amazing role in our Christian tradition. If we think about all the mentions there are of food in the Scriptures, it would fill volumes. Food is a strong and powerful symbol. Jesus even says somewhere in the Gospel, I am your food. I am the bread of life. So he even uses food to symbolize his presence amongst us. So food is a very powerful symbol. Think about the role of food in your own life. We use food as an antidote to depression. When we're depressed, we eat, right? We use it as an antidote to grief. I'm sorry for your loss. Here's a cake. We use it as an antidote to ill health. You're too thin, you better eat more. How many times did you hear that? Wait till I get to heaven and see my grandmother and see what she did to me. We use food as this glorious symbol because food does what? It does two things. Food, first of all, gathers people together. We don't like to eat alone, so we like to share food. And so food brings people together. Food brings people around the table. Food causes us to interact with one another. And so it's not the food that relieves our grief, but it's the presence of the people who are eating with us that lightens our burden. So food then becomes for us an excuse to gather. Food becomes an excuse to talk about important things. Food becomes an excuse for us to enter into the lives of others. That's why the main meal at home is so important, and it's a tradition that our families are slowly losing. That they don't spend Sunday dinner together because of soccer and baseball and softball and everything else that's going on Sunday afternoons. We're losing that moment of communication. We're losing that sense of gathering around the table. And you know what we lose? We lose, for our young people, that sense of safety, that sense of being home, never to have that experience where you're just glad to be home. The Sunday dinner, the nightly dinner, should be a time to debrief, to share the horrors of the day and the good things of the day. It should be a time that we spend with one another, and it has little to do with food. So Jesus uses this powerful symbol, and he uses this powerful symbol of food to describe heaven. And so in the first reading, through the prophet Isaiah, God tells us that heaven's going to be like this great mountain where there'll be great food, he says, and the choicest wines. That's a pretty powerful symbol. Is that a place we want to go? And then in the responsorial psalm, we hear that great Psalm 23 that brings us comfort, that brings us joy, and talks about food. And then in the gospel, Jesus tells us that the kingdom of heaven is going to be this great banquet to which everyone is invited. So, food then is this wonderful symbol. But it is also a symbol of security and comfort. When we're afraid, we eat. When we're afraid, we gather with others. When we're afraid, we look for the support of others. And that's so very important for us to understand. The past few weeks have been somewhat scary for people. The newscasts telling us, the world is falling apart. The sky is falling. Your stocks are no good. And next week, they'll be telling us something else. If we just are comfortable in the Lord, if we just realize that everything happens in cycles, that if we remain calm and trust in God, we will in fact endure. And so, today, that wonderful symbol of God's love and comfort is food. And so let us not draw apart from one another in crisis, but let us draw together. Let us not hoard, but let us share. Let us not focus on our own selves, but focus on the needs of others. If we cast what we have upon the water, it will in fact come back to us 100-fold. Do not be blinded by crisis or fear, but rather stay focused on God, who continually invites us to eat, invites us to the banquet, invites us to the party, invites us to share bread, so that we will be comforted not just in our bodies, but we will be comforted by the presence of others who share with us that bread. What a powerful symbol food is. Don't lose its meaning today. Understand and see what God is saying to your hearts today. And if you are afraid, if you are scared, or as the kids used to say when I was in McKeesport, if you are scared, you won't find that in the dictionary. If you are afraid, if you are worried, if you are concerned, draw closer to the table and share the food. For ultimately, Grandma was right. Eat. You'll feel better. Come to the table and trust in Christ, for the Lord is our shepherd, and nothing shall we want. Be at peace.